So I wish I could make a whole video on this. The Williams guys are doing a speed gear clutch swap for one of the 310 cars. It went in one of the endurance races. It's been really impressive watching these guys work. From a selfish perspective, this is quite interesting because this car was winning everything. And there is an overall points table, and Charlie and I were second to these guys. So a DNF from those guys has put us in possibility of us taking the overall points. So yeah, obviously it's never nice to do stuff like that due to DNF, but really interesting watching these guys work. Love it. So here we have Charlie getting ready to go out for his sprint. But I'm not going to show you that on this video. I'm going to link you over to Charlie's channel, which is here. I suggest you go watch his coverage of this weekend. He does a better job of covering his sprint, and I'll get straight into the final race. So here we are, forming up for the final race of the weekend. It was finally here after all this prep and all this time on track. But yeah, this was it, the Super Enduro. We had 1 hour 40 minutes coming up, so 100-minute race. Once again, single pit stop, but this time we would require refueling, so it would be a 10-minute pit stop. Now you may notice I'm forming up quite far back on the grid, and the reason for this, it wasn't in the original plan for the weekend, but we made a democratic decision in the paddock to basically merge the grids for the final race. Time was slipping by due to various circumstances. We didn't have fuel for a while at the circuit and some other bits and bobs. But yeah, the decision was made to merge the grids. So though we are starting P1 in class, we are way back in 19th or 20th, I think, on the grid. So quite a new experience for me, racing with other performance classes. Really looking forward to it. A little bit nervous. Due to the aforementioned opportunity to come away with the points victory for the weekend. So yeah, keen to have a really clean race and have some fun. So here we are rolling in for my final pit stop of the Barbados weekend. The longest stint I've done today. I think it came in after 47 minutes. But didn't feel too exhausted after this session. I think racing in the dark just took a few degrees off the temperature. That really helped. But also you've got that psychological thing of, you know, it's your last stint, so you're not trying to kind of reserve energy subconsciously. So a difference on this pit stop, as you can see, I've been pushed backwards into the garage because for this one we'll need to refuel the car, and the regulations say that that needs to be done out of the pit lane. The Williams guys had a really tough job on for these pit stops because, as I mentioned at the start of the video, we were merging grids, so every single car that attended Barbados was on the track for this race. So I think the Williams guys had 8 or 9 cars they were looking after, so we had to have a bit of a chat before the race to kind of figure out some rough pit windows, because the last thing these guys could deal with was like 8 or 9 cars coming in at the same time. That would have been crazy. So my window was roughly bang in the middle of the race, and made it in time for that. Despite the fact that it was the longest stint, I think some of the best laps that I did were coming towards the end of this stint. I had sort of 8 or 9 laps, really tight on times, and set my personal best of the entire weekend towards the end of this stint. So I was really chuffed with that. But it was very difficult to know where I was in the race. I was aware of the fact that a bunch of people, both in front of me and behind me, had taken really early joker laps. I was really shocked after like 4 or 5 laps. I was suddenly on my own on the track. There was nobody ahead of me, nobody behind me, because loads of people had ducked off to take joker laps. At the time I thought I'd kind of hit the jackpot because I could just lap in clean air. But then what happened is we had a safety car, and then it dawned on me that I was now effectively at least 1 joker behind the pack, which, you know, was a bit of a concern. with the benefit of live timing and hindsight and all of the data I got afterwards, I can see that the damage wasn't too bad from the joke lap situation. I did fall back to P2 in class, just behind Matt, and we were still in the top, just outside of top 10, so we were P11 overall on the grid, which which wasn't too bad. But Charlie would then take over for the rest of this stint. He would have roughly the same amount of time to go. And again, we weren't quite sure where Charlie was in the running order, so all he could do was go out there and start overtaking cars, which he had a lot of fun doing.